Okay, we'll get rock and rolling. I've just started the recording, so this is now recording and we are live. So welcome everybody to today's AMA VC. It's the 14th of November. Blimey, the year's gone quick. So I put out a few bullet points on what was coming today, what we're going to discuss. But basically, this is the next part of kind of feeding to the investors that are already here. And then for anybody that's listening to this recording at a later date, it's going to give you an overview of the project, what it's about, kind of why it was formed, a bit about the team, and sort of what's ahead, as part of the journey. So myself joined up with Xtrack, I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago now. And the reason was because the team wanted to put a bit of communication into the mix, because we all know, especially with utility plays, you need to be able to communicate with the holders and keep them updated, because if you don't, unfortunately, people become impatient, and obviously they lose sort of, the connection, and then they venture to find something else. So this is one of those steps. So what I'm going to do is because there's quite a lot to go over, I'm not going to go too much into discussing what the tech does in like massive finite detail. I'm going to more do a summary. And the reason being is because there's plenty of information out there, and we've got a tutorial video that explains how to do all the functions. And the YouTube video, for example, that anybody hasn't watched it, it's about 15 minutes long. So we're not going to sit on an AMA VC going through that stuff that's repeated information. And I'll explain that as I go through. So what I want to do is I want to start off with just an introduction, just a brief one with Xtrack. So for everybody that's seeing right now, we're in what I call a little mini bull run. I call it a fake out. It's like a mini kind of hype thing, right? And what you're seeing is there's an increase in gas prices on the Ethereum network. And we've gone from, getting into projects and paying transaction fees for very small, $2, $3, $5, maybe up to sort of $8, $9. Now you're starting to pay $20, $30, $40, $50. And I think last week when it was all booming, I think some people were paying $70, $80. So it's quite evident that this is a taster for what's to come leading into 2024. Now, why is that, key to Xtrack? The reason being is because as we start to make or have to make wiser decisions in terms of where we put our funds to invest into projects, we're not going to be able to do all the gambles that we want to do, because it costs money. So, if you 10 projects and each one of those is costing you $30 in, $30 out, you're going to be a bit more smarter in terms of how you play it and what you want to gamble on. And that's where Xtrack really is going to give you a cutting edge and to enable you to make smarter and better decisions. So if we take an overview of Xtrack's ecosystem and what's currently in play, you've got a number of bots, which gives you information, and you can use commands to do a number of different functions, okay, which I'll go into shortly. The trending stats, which is produced of the top coins, which obviously is getting the best hits. And again, we'll go over that in more detail. And then we've got custom and filtered notifications, which can be specifically tailored for you as the holder of the certain tiers and what information you want to pull from the socials that the project gathers. Okay, and all this later on is planned to go into a website interface, which basically will make it easier to see for all the people that prefer to do it on the PC, like myself. So the TG bot there, self-explanatory. We've all seen the bots and how they function. It pulls data and gives you a bunch of key points and helps you assess what you want to go into. So that's a quick summary on what Xtrack's got currently, and obviously what it's going to do in terms of integrating it with the website. So I'm going to move on to the team. Now, when obviously I first heard about Xtrack coming out, and I saw it had been out for a couple of weeks, I watched it play out. I watched how the team conducted themselves. And obviously when I had the meetings with the team, which I regularly do now, by the way, we had a VC yesterday, the founder, who obviously we're going to share a bit of time with at the end of the VC. He explains to me on a regular basis what they're doing, what they're building, the communication between himself and the dev, what their plans and aspirations are for the future. Obviously, that's not all going to come into the TG chat, because obviously these are things that are obviously, as what we call it, cooking behind the scenes. So whilst I personally see development and I see stuff happening and the team wants to build, then I will keep coming back here. I'll keep doing AMAs. I'll keep doing VCs. We'll hit Twitter Spaces, and we'll keep communicating this, because that tells me that they want to build and obviously take the project forward, and obviously as part of why we're here. So they had a vision, okay, and they shared that vision obviously to myself, and obviously they've shared it to you, the community, which you see on an everyday basis. Now, for anybody that's new, or this is the first time you've turned up, you might have just entered Twitter today. Over the last few weeks that the project's been born, you've had the founder and obviously the mods supporting the project on a daily basis. So there's constant communication on what they're doing, how it's developing, and the vision that the team's got, what they want to add to this ecosystem. We haven't even hit a tip of the iceberg. There is so much that can be built in what this utility is. It's scary. So you'll get to know more about this, obviously, as we go along. You can't feed it all to everybody in the first 5 minutes of a project, because you have to build these utilities, which, again, we'll go later on in the VC, how that works, servers, all this type of stuff. So team members, we'll talk about team members. So we've got the founder, which obviously you've all seen in the TG, named as Tectonic, and he's here in the VC, which I'm just going to check. Yeah, he is. He's in the VC, he's listening. So we've got Tectonic, who gives you unbelievable communication. He's literally in there. I don't want to say 24/7 because he is sleeping, but I think the guy's only getting about 3-4 hours skip a day. When you see someone grinding, pardon the French, but their backside off, for you as the holders, that should give you a clear indication very, very quickly what they want to do and where they want to take this project. And that vision then is filtrated into you as the people that want to invest, or you turn up every day and you want to see action, because we all sit there in any project that you're in. If you don't see action or development or moving forward, like I said, you become detached. So that is all part of the process as we're going on. And that falls in line with the early relationships, which is key. So you've got to remember, we're only a few weeks into the project, and the relationships that have already been built, you can see there's a clear trust, and that will just keep getting worked on as new investors and new holders come in. So going back to the team members, we've got Tectonic, the founder, we've got a full-time dev, and there is also a part-time dev on an ad hoc basis who fills in, if there's anything that's needed or too much for the main dev, they can do little bits and then feed it back into the main. So from a team perspective, it's not kind of like a one-man band. So that fills me with confidence, because you can't rely on one person to literally run everything 24/7. So there's more than enough resources there. And I ask the question, as you get bigger, as you grow, you obviously can't live everywhere. Will you adopt or bring in more people? Yes. Do you have those people in mind? Yes. So I know for the future, as we go along, they can add to that mix and they can bring in more resources as they need. So if you see new mods come in, new helpers in terms of leading, whether that's an additional person to myself that might help with speaking or communicating, they've got all that already in the plans for what's ahead. So again, fills me personally with confidence. So the team's vision and their journey of where they want to go is very, very bullish in terms of the tools that they want to bring to the table. So on that first kind of note, just opening up, I touched on the summary of the tools that the Xtrack's got. Is there any questions that anybody's got before I start going into the actual overview of the project, how we're planning to expand and working on the growth going forward to make people obviously want to be part of Xtrack? You don't have to talk. You can drop the messages in the TG if you don't want to. Let me just scroll through now. Just pinging through the TG. Right. Sorry, boys, just going through. Join VC, more interest updates. Any questions? I'm muting the VC, type here. Yeah, so look, there's no questions. So what I'll do is I will push on to the next part of obviously what I gave us earlier. So we're going to talk about the expansion. Yeah, Mark, can I run through the rev share? I'll go on to that in a second. What I'll do, I'll go through the expansion part that I highlighted before the VC went live. And then what I'll do is I'll run back through the rev share that you've just asked for. So I'll start off a suggestion. Message join VC, pin it for all. Right, who's that? I just need to mute that, whoever that mic is. That's Omen's mic. Right, just muted. Right, okay, back to it. Right, so expansion of Xtrack and where we're up to now. So we've had the first 2-3 weeks. The chart's played out. If you look, it's held out nice and solid. And now it is the next part of getting Xtrack to be sort of put under the noses of people, which leads into, obviously, this being the first step, i.e. one of the AMAs. Hang on a minute. I've just had to mute another mic. Guys, if you've got your mics, if you've got a question, just obviously ask in the TG, and then what I'll do is I'll pause to let you talk, because otherwise we're just getting a load of muffled sound over the VC. So I'm going to start off with adoption. How do we get more adoption and get more eyes on Xtrack and allow them to kind of see what the product's about? Because what we don't want at this stage, and we've already tried this, as was mentioned on my first VC that I did when I obviously joined up with Xtrack, by getting callers, they see that the call's there and they will automatically buy, and sometimes it creates a P&D and they don't actually look at what the project's got. So during this organic phase, which is what we're going through now, we need to be educating the people to kind of let them know what Xtrack does and how the tools will enable them to obviously make better trade, as discussed in the previous messages. So by doing that, we put that into private lounges. So, for example, my lounge myself, I've got this bot. It's working in my lounge. It can be operated on a command. It gives the details. And that's a great asset for the people that I obviously inform on projects and all different types of stuff. So that is obviously one of many that will do. And what happens is Xtrack is then getting shared. So my group's got over 500 people. If another group's got over 1,000, 500, 1,000, you get the gist of it. When that Xtrack is popping up, people are all of a sudden getting this brand recognition. It's like, well, what's this Xtrack? And obviously people then ask questions, they look into it. You've got this trending data. And as more and more projects get communicated that, oh, Xtrack gave this detail at this time, I aped at this, which is what we've seen from previous, obviously, people that have highlighted, thanks to Xtrack highlighting this, I managed to buy, did 3, 4, 5x, and you get the gist of it. So lounges are very important because they have certain types of investors in there that want to obviously learn about the project rather than just buying a coin off somebody that calls it, which comes on to our marketers and your Coles and the people that you pay. So that's where you're going to get further adoption, and that's already in motion. So the team are speaking to specific lounges because, again, you don't just want to throw it into every lounge right now. You want to get it into specific ones who obviously want to be smart investors and sort of help build that foundation and that floor, which is what we've currently got now. As you grow later and the market cap's higher and everybody's hyped, you can then throw it in every single lounge you want, because it won't matter, because that just becomes about brand recognition, okay? Also, callers, okay? As much as callers want to get paid and they want to shout projects, they also want the information. They want to be firsthand to what someone else is doing. And as what we all know, no matter how much we work or we spend on a PC, you can't gather all the detail that Xtrack does, okay? It's impossible. Even if you had 10 screens and you were checking everywhere, you would not be able to follow all of that data that it pulls. So now you've got another option with callers to give them access and let them know, look, guys, you're spending all this time, whether they're on their call channel, talking to teams. You've got a tool here now that literally will give you that data, pull it to yourself, and then they can do with it as they please, whether they feed that to the communities or whether they want to use it to call. That's entirely up to them. But the point is, it all leads back to Xtrack's ecosystem and the data that obviously comes back to us and the holders that hold the tokens. Because I don't know if everybody realizes this, right? But with bots in the crypto space in general, and this is stuff like Safe Analyzer, all your trending bots and everything like that. Whenever you're doing something or you're doing a scan, or you're asking for information, the person that owns that bot, they're getting all of your information. So I'll give you a prime example. If I go and put a contract address in my group and Safe Analyzer pings up and says that I've searched it, imagine if 1,000 people are doing that all over Telegram. What do you think Safe Analyzer have got their back end? I don't know this for definite, by the way. I'm just guessing on how these systems work. They will be pulling, holy crap, there's 1,000 people that have just searched this contract address across all these lounges. Something must be cooking there. And that alerts people. So think about it in the same manner with Xtrack. If you've got socials such as Twitter and you're pulling all this information in literally the case of what? Anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds, and it's right at your feet, and you're not even having to do anything for it, that's power. That gives you an edge over everybody else all day long. And people are going to want a piece of that pie. That's fact. And what we come back to what we spoke about earlier, gas fees. People aren't going to be able to ape every single project. That's just the reality of it. Bull run is going to be insane. Who wants to pay $100, $200, $300 gas fee? Nobody. But if you've got tools that enable you to be ahead of the game and you can get into something because you know it's going to be shilled, or there's something that's got a massive eyes on it that you wouldn't know, and that gives you the edge to get in a little bit earlier, that's power. And we've said it many times with the tool and the tier system, not everybody is going to be able to have access to this, because what's going to happen down the line, you're going to get a supply shock in terms of tokens, and the tiers are going to be harder to get in. So right now, where it is at the minute in terms of tiered access, it's cheap. But as we go on down the line and people find out about Xtrack, oh, why didn't I know about Xtrack weeks and weeks ago? We've seen projects, whether they're bots, and they were calling bangers because it measures a certain, criteria on a contract scan, and they were going to 10, 20, 30 X's, and people were portraying, I've made loads of money off this because it gave me this data. We've all seen it. These projects sit at 100, 200K market cap, and they go to millions. And then what happens when they get to millions? People complain, can't get a higher tier because it's too expensive. So then what happens is the early people, they've now got the alpha because they've got that access now because they're educating and learning. And this is why you don't want P&Ds and you don't want callers and the wrong type of investors at this stage, at this market cap. Okay. And this is why when people ask, when marketing, when this, no, we don't need to do that now. We need to educate people. We need to do things like what we're doing now, talk to you as the investors and tell you this is what we're doing, this is how it's being built. Now, anybody with, a smart sense about them will realize when you look at all the stuff that's been fed today and what we're giving you now, it's a no-brainer in my eyes. Risk to reward, where we're at now and what you're getting for your money, it's crazy. So the adoption perspective, you'll see it. It's going to pop in more and more lounges, one by one. Callers are going to get the option to use it. When they realize the power of it, they're going to say to the next person, and it's a knock-on effect. And then also we have public use bots where obviously we're using the information. Those things are free to use. Again, more exposure. Okay. So what you're doing is you're giving a certain slice of kind of the action, but the real key information comes from holding the tiers of the tokens. That's what's going to give you the daddy alpha info. That's what's going to keep you ahead. Anything that's free, one is either going to be short-lived promo, or it's going to be a taster to entice people to want to want more of it. Okay, that's how you do it. You get people to try it. If they like it, they buy it. You don't get people to sign up first into a 12-month contract on a phone. You say, look, try my phone out. If it's any good, we'll keep you for the next however, and you buy it. I think Spotify, the music channel, they do the same. I think my missus, she said to me, I'll sign up to Spotify. I'm not paying £10 a month because I'm a tight ass. And Spotify, then obviously they do a deal and they say, try it for a month, right? And I always used to listen to music on YouTube, right? But I used to hate the adverts, skip adverts. But then I got Spotify and I'm like, well, I can try it for £10 a month. Yeah, I'll give that a go. I love Spotify. So what have I done? I've used it for a month and now I pay £10 a month. That's the sucker in part. That's what you do. If you've got a good product and you've got something that is worth something, you won't charge people for it initially. You will give it a taster. And that's what you do early doors. You give it a taster, you keep building, you add to it, you become the powerhouse. And then it's like, right, well, this works, so I'm paying for it. And that's what Xtrack are doing right now. They're going through that process. So hopefully that explains the adoption part. So we're going to go on to communication, like what we're doing now. So as the project grows and more information is being fed in, and people are struggling to, grab the concept of understanding, say, reading the whole Git book, or they're going, I can't follow all these TG messages because we've got all these people in here saying when moon and the chart's pumping. You need to be able to tell people on a more simple basis, well, I want to learn about the product. So we'll be able to hold live streams and VC. So I'll give you an example. We're not going to do it today, but let's say, for example, the community say, do you know what? I'd love Friday night. Can we just chill out, jump on a live stream VC? And can you just go over some of the notifications, and explain to me how Xtrack works? Can you just kind of go for it? People might pop up and ask a question. Andy, Tonic, right, okay, I've got this notification coming in, but I want to filter it. I want to sort of, but I don't really know how to do it. Can you explain? No problem. We'll do that over live VCs and we'll stream it and we'll show you how to use it. User friendly. Again, comes back to communication. When we do Twitter Spaces, we can educate people on Twitter Spaces and explain how you use the tool. Give it user-friendly communication, okay? So that is another aspect of it that the team are doing. And again, is one of the reasons why I was brought in to support the project, okay? Token performance, okay? Next one. So at this moment in time, the project is very new. So what's happening is the filters and everything that's being given to you as the holder. And now this varies for different tiers. So whether you're tier 1 to tier 4, you're going to get different perks. Okay, so if you're on the lowest tier, you're going to get the basic things that come through to you, who you can follow, and it will be restricted. And there's obviously reasons for that because, unfortunately, to have something like this, it's very expensive to run. When we talk about APIs for Twitter, it's $5,000 a month. We're talking servers, staff wages. This is like a business. This isn't a meme coin that just launched on zero tax, and we all hope that we're all going to make it. You're building a proper product, a proper tool. That has monthly costs, weekly costs. So in terms of the tiers, you have to pay for that. It's no different to real life. If you want to have, here in the UK, we have Sky, right? If you want to have the basic package, you pay 20 quid a month or whatever it is. It's probably more now. I don't have it now, but you pay 20 quid a month. And if you want Sky Sports to watch the Premier League, you got to pay more. If you want movie channels, you got to pay more. Why? Because it costs Sky more money to have access to those things. They've got to pay Sky. They've got to pay Disney and whoever else. Same thing with this. So with Xtrack, if you want more services, you want more tools, you want it faster, you need bigger servers, more upgrades. You need a different skill set bringing in. So you have to pay for that tier. So that's where that comes into play. Okay. But if you hold the higher tier, you're going to get the best stuff that you can get. All right. And that's going to get you ahead of the game. And in effect, it will pay for itself because if you're getting the information that you need to make more informative decisions, it comes back to what I was saying about the gas fees. If you're saving yourself aping 10 projects because you don't know what to ape into because you've got no information whatsoever versus aping 1 or 2 because you've saved on the gas fee because you've got more sort of, information to make an informative decision. So we come back to the current market cap now. What is it? 30K market cap. You can buy tier 4 for however much it is now. But if this goes to $1 million market cap, you know the rest. You know it's going to be 10 times more than what it is now to get that top tier. Okay, so in these few weeks that we've been going, people have been sharing. I got this notification of this project. I did a 4x, 5x, 10x. Now they're not getting that because the bot's telling them to buy it. They're using the information that's been filtered to them, which they find is key to make a decision. Now, again, we'll go on this in another VC about how the actual tools work, how you can filter them down to what's best to give you the information, which will help you make a better decision. But for the purpose of this VC today, it's more to give an overview of the whole structure of Xtrack and the ecosystem. So hopefully this information that's coming in, the team behind the scenes are currently monitoring how well the tokens are doing in a performance. So I'll give you an idea. 10 projects get shouted on trending or the push notifications to tell the users. They then go and check the chart at that point when that token was measured as an indicator to Xtrack. And let's say, for example, in the next 24 hours, it does a 10x. The team are monitoring that team was shouted by a number of indicators that Xtrack monitor, fed to you, the user, in terms of tier, and it will give you a return in terms of if you aped or decided to buy at that point, what would your VEXs been if you had held on for a period of time? Now, not everything's always going to be successful. This is crypto. Everything we go into, no matter how good tools are, they are still a risk. But if you get a few more weeks down the line and you have got a results panel that says the last 50 projects that Xtrack called, 40 of those, all made good gains, then obviously proof's in the pudding. You can then obviously give that back to holders and then they can turn around and say, right, okay, it's a no-brainer. Xtrack pays for itself. Okay, so at the moment, we're doing that off on what the community and the users are feeding back in terms of what they're pulling data off and what they're tracking. Because you've got to remember, right, and I mentioned this a minute ago, in terms of team and resources, what's the key factor right now in terms of what they're doing? They're building, they're communicating to you as the holders and giving you the best product that you can, and they keep evolving it day by day. That's the priority. Monitoring token success that makes you money is kind of, in my view, a little bit immaterial at the minute, because the comms and building foundations with you, the holders, that's number one priority. Okay, so the performance measure will come later. And what you do is you allow the team to conduct themselves in a way that kind of like allows that to flow through. And look, I've been involved in a lot of utility play projects. And for me, I prefer this way. I prefer code, utility, everything to be built. And then the rest of it comes later together in conjunction with what the community want. Because if anybody's following the daily updates, for example, you as the community and the holders are saying, well, I want this. Can you improve that? Can you change this? Can you change that? Okay. And what's happening is, and I've seen this with my own eyes, the founder, Tonic, he has taken all that information and collating that into a summary, feeding that to the developer and saying, right, I have gone over this. I've summarized based on what the community and the holders want to make the system better. We need to do X, Y, and Z. The developers then going, yeah, I've got all that. I will carry all that out, feedback to you when it's done. It goes back to the obviously founder who's feeding that you as the community. And it's literally an evolving thing. And the amount of updates that have been done just in the week that I've been here have been absolutely nuts. I mean, for someone to keep grinding this out, developer on fire. Okay. And we'll come on to the developer, for example. This developer, obviously I don't know him, but he has clearly got capabilities to work at rapid pace, because the stuff they keep changing and the filters and the stuff through the bots is incredible. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of projects. I've seen behind the scenes workings, and you can tell when people have got proof in the pudding of what they can actually deliver. And these guys can actually deliver what they say they're going to do, which again stands us in good stead for the future and in terms of what they want to add. Unfortunately, no matter what you build or how good you are, it takes time. Okay, so the balance that Xtrack are getting at the minute is enabling this process to play out. So revenue share, I know Mark touched on that a minute ago. So what I'll do, that was actually next on the topic. I'm just going to go through the, would you be able to tap into diamond tier? Yeah, I'll tap onto the diamond tier shortly. But what I'll probably do, I'll probably leave the last end to go on the tech side in terms of the tiers and what the real nitty gritty is. And I'll leave that to Tonic when he has his little slot at the end, because you got to understand, right? I've been here a week, okay? Obviously, Xtrack isn't the only project that obviously I help, okay? So from a behind-the-scenes perspective, I would do everything in my power to build community relations and obviously do what I can for all of us in terms of exposure, getting out there. But he has been on this project literally 3 weeks. And you got to remember, he talks to the developer day in, day out. So when it comes to the tech stuff, obviously he is nailed on, going to be sharp. I'm still picking everything up. But that's why I'm doing a summary today of the whole overview on what I've seen since I've been here. So that diamond tier thing, we can get into now that at the end. So coming on to revenue share, which is what Mark touched on earlier. So with revenue share, it's a very big thing in the space at the minute. And a lot of projects are jumping on the bandwagon purely because, I guess, if you want people to hold your token and not sell it, you've got to give them another revenue stream to make them feel worth like being part of what you're doing. And what I mean by that is that we all invest into projects and we all want to make money. That's the reality of crypto. We can't get away from that. But to support good projects and legit stuff, which is what we're all doing here now, and that's why we're here early, supporting what Xtrack are building, you need something in reward. So how are you going to get that? You either sell your tokens, which obviously we don't want you to do, or you have to have a revenue. So the revenue part of it will come from adverts. Okay, so for anybody that looks across the likes of Buybot and all these things that kind of pop up in different areas, they have a little tab at the bottom that gives an advert. And these advert banners, or whatever you want to call them at the bottom, Chat Shield has it, for example, like I said, Buybot, and there's a few others, and they charge to have a slot in there. And the reason they do that is because if you've got a tool and it is in hundreds and hundreds of TG groups, if your project wants to be on there or you've got something you want to promote, that at the bottom there is very, very powerful. So what you do is very early in the stages, and the team haven't decided how this is going to be charged yet, but obviously you've got to do the brand recognition first. So once Xtrack is, as what I talked about earlier, in the lounges, the public are using it, tiered access, and everybody sees this brand, you then can say to people, right, if you want to be at the bottom of that, we'll charge you X amount of money. But the beauty is the team have said any ad revenue, and we're talking about all the ad revenue, by the way. We're not talking about you get a slice or a percentage, which is what a lot of these other projects do. Every single penny that comes in for ad revenue off those will go to the holders, and that will be weighted based on what percentage of tokens you have. So if the project pulls in, I don't know, let's say 2 ETH a month. We'll keep it nice and simple. Don't need to blow it up and make fake numbers. We'll call it 2 ETH a month. If you yourselves have got the tokens, I'm not sure whether there'll be a minimum threshold. Maybe that'll be something they can work on later. But you would then be able to divide that ETH between you as the holders. So now you're getting a bit of free ETH. Doesn't affect the chart, doesn't affect the token, because the person that's paying for it is paying for it in ETH or dollars, whatever it be. So that's a revenue stream that will come later down the line, but that will come once Xtrack is established. It's a brand, it's in everybody's lounge and under everybody's noses, and that will give people the desire to want it. You've also got the same for the website. You know, if people are spending a lot of time going to the website, and what I'm talking about here, the web UI. So the web UI is later down the line because you've got to get all the tools, you know, nailed on first. But when the web UI comes later, you have all that in the system. There could be an ad banner on the website. You know, if anybody wants to advertise here, we can put a slot, video, whatever. Again, it's a charge. That will be going back to the holders. None of that money is going to go to the team, purely for the token holders only. So hopefully, Mark, that explains the revenue share. I'm not sure how that will be claimed, whether it will be airdropped on a DApp. That will be something that will be confirmed later down the day. But at least it gives you an idea of where that rev share is going to come from and how that will work. Ability to add tools. So when I join utility projects, what you tend to find is you have some projects that will build a function or a code or a product, and then what they do is they're stuck at that, because what they haven't actually done, and unfortunately we've all witnessed this, they might have got the tool from, I don't know, a Fiverr website, or someone else did it and they copied it and may have done some titivation to it. But what they don't actually have is the skill set to alter, grow, or add more to that actual, you know, base of what they obviously said they were selling you. Now, what I've seen here, which is a key factor to me and where I see Xtrack going, they clearly have demonstrated, and I think that they've done this to yourselves as well. And a clear indication of that, for anybody that's been here since the start, when Xtrack first started, it was a very basic bot. And I mean basic. It was very small commands. It was very, very low key in terms of the information it was producing you. Okay. Every day that's gone by over the last couple of weeks, it's got sharper. There's more information come in. The layout's improved. When you've got something like this cooking and you see that it's regularly updated, that isn't going to some guy and then being farmed out to some third party saying, can you give me a quote and a price to do this? That is someone that you know you've got front hand in front of your screen that's going, I'm going to work with you side by side and we're going to build this. And I don't need to make that up or magic that. You can see that yourselves daily. And that's just from the updates alone. So putting that aside from me being a speaker and talking to you as holders, look at it from a point of view that if you were coming into this project and I was an investor, these are the type of stuff I looked at. And this is why when I was approached early on in this project, I refused to step in, because I have to see how a team plays out. And that is one key factor. Ability to add tools and build an ecosystem. Can the team do it? And are they capable? Yes. Bullish, in my view. Okay, so that's another massive thing for me. I'm going to go on to servers, cost behind the scenes. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I like to point this out to people because some people forget in any form of business, there is an overhead or a cost. And I remember a few days ago where someone came in and they said, I notice it's 3.3 tax. What are you doing with the money? Are you spending it on marketing? You know, and doing this stuff. So for anybody, again, that's new or just coming in, the team spent multiple ETH in the first phases of when the project launched. I'm talking in the first couple of weeks, okay? And some of those got absolutely no impact. Some got very minimal buys. And none of these people are still here now talking to you and demonstrating to you what Xtrack's truly about. And this comes back to my point before of the type of investors that we're trying to attract now is not callers, not P&D people, is very specific investors that want to understand and educate what this product's about. We can get the P&D later. We can get the callers when the thing's at 2, 3, 4 mil market cap. Okay, that can come later. But you don't build a base unless you do this part. So the cost and overheads, I mentioned it already. 5K a month, API, that's not made up. Look at any project. ChatterShield, for example, they pay the same bill, $5,000 a month. You can't pull data from Twitter, or as we know it now as X, without paying that fee. You have to pay that $5,000 monthly fee. So straight away, the team have got a massive overhead of $5,000. Okay, you're not paying that as the holder. You as a customer, the person that is using this tool and this ecosystem, you haven't got to pay a penny. All you've got to do is hold a certain amount of tokens, get your access to the tier, and you get the free use of that system that is doing it. Because I wouldn't pay $5 grand a month to our mate Elon, as we call him, to get all this stuff. I wouldn't do it. So from that point of view, that's an overhead. The second one is servers. Okay, when you start a project, you buy what I call a baby server, baby PC, couple of people using it. You add a couple of tools, and you go, right, that's great. We're cooking. Right, community's on board. We've got some big users. Right, okay, crap. Now we've got 100 people, 1,000 people. What do we do? Right, we've got to upgrade the servers. We can't take the usage. We can't take the speed. The amount of tools that are being added, it can't do it. So what happens? Now you're talking more thousands of dollars. So all these things are going to get an increased cost. You to the holder and user, you don't pay any more money. You don't pay anything extra. And this comes back to the market cap we're at now, 130K, whatever it's sat at. Okay, when it's at 1 mil, then cost. You think about it on a running perspective, when there is hundreds of people wanting to use the system, the server costs are going to be sky high, but you're already in. You're already here now. So if you've taken the time to listen to this VC and what the project's about, going through the TG and learning all the information, you're early. Those people that come later, they're going to be late. Okay, so take that on board in terms of costs and taxes and what it truly costs to run a project. All right. Information is the next bit I want to touch on. And in terms of other projects, what's out there, and I've seen people talk about, this project might do a bit of this, project might do a bit of that, right? For me personally, there is more to a project than just having a bot working or a little tool, little here, there. You've got to have a combination of stuff. Okay, and what I mean by that is you've got to have a dev, as what I mentioned, can do to do the work. Okay, you've got to have a front guy, someone that is going to communicate to you like what we're doing now, and you've got to have a founder who actually gives a shit, that actually wants to be here and grind on a daily basis and give something back to the space that's going to be beneficial. Okay, this project has all of that right now. Okay, it has all of that right now. In terms of going forward, it's going to need more people. No two ways about it. But I mentioned we're going to get that. But coming back to the one hub ecosystem, which is what's being created now, and we've seen the growth, like I said, from the beginning to now, and how better the bots are and the information, the trending information that's coming in. When this ecosystem is like full shebang working, and I'm talking for me now because I love websites. That's me. I know a few people that I talk to daily. They love the web UI as well. So at the minute I'm talking to you, I've got 4 screens. Okay, I have to, because I have to be able to see all the data on everything that I'm kind of doing. I need to get notifications, TG group, blah, 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 right? If I've got a platform like Xtrack and I'm looking on my web PC and it's got everything I need in terms of information that is flowing in, I don't need to go anywhere else. Now, the biggest problem in this space, and we can all vouch for this, we all need to go into 5 different TG groups, different lounges. We need to hit Twitter. We need to go here. We need to go there. We need a chart. It's insane, okay? It's mind-blowing, especially for the person who doesn't live in crypto 24/7. You know, if you're popping in after work and you're having to catch up on all the information, or you only decide that you want to be on the PC for an hour, think about it. You pop into your computer, you ping up Xtrack, and you say, right, I want to check the tools that have been trending, or the coins that have been trending for the last 30 minutes. I want to do a bit of trading now. I've got a few hours. Boom. It doesn't matter what happened all day. We don't care about what happened all day. We want to know about what's happening in the last 30 minutes. Boom. Xtrack is going to give you all the info. It's going to tell you what's going down across the space, who's hitting all the tweets, what's popular, and you're going to see that at a click of a button. That is power. That is going to literally be there for you. And that, for me, that's exciting. That's fun. That stops me from being able to worry about all the other hours that I missed, and I can focus on what's there and then. Because let's be honest, if there is a tweet or a project that is pushed and mooned 3 hours ago, that doesn't mean anything to us. We've missed it. We need to know what's coming now. We need to be at the forefront before the next thing goes on the moon mission, okay? And that's where Xtrack's going to have the tools to do it. So there's talks of being able to buy the coin direct, you know, instantly at a button. The fact that you're going to see a live chart there. There's just so much you can build into this system. And with those notifications that are coming in, it's a no-brainer. And you will only need a few projects to pay off, obviously, on the information that if you decide to go in or out, and the tool's paid for itself. So for me, you build a product that is needed. People don't want to lose because you're not going to get this information from everywhere else. Self-explanatory, you know where the project goes. The chart follows naturally and the rest is history. So for me, one hub information all in one place. You ain't got to go hunting everywhere else. That's the key to what Xtrack are going to build and they're going to bring to the table. Now, there's a function, or I don't know if anybody's read the Git book, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ping onto this here. So this is the Git book. For anybody that hasn't read through it, if you go on the website, there's a little button at the bottom. I'll just go back here. Look, if we go down here, you'll see it here. This docs bit here, if you click that, it'll bring the Git book up. So if you obviously want to understand how the project works in a bit more detail, if you scroll down, you can see all the stuff, screenshots, tell you exactly how everything works in terms of trending, top followed, how the bots work, tiered access. Now, what I have asked for, and the team are aware of this, and this happened on a VC yesterday, and for anybody that knows me, when I support or I help something try and grow, I give constructive and genuine feedback, because when I attach to a project, I have to be passionate about it. Right? And hopefully that's coming across in how I'm talking to yourselves and how I feel about Xtrack itself. So the thing that obviously I said to the founder was, this scrolling down is great, but if I want to hit a certain topic, I have to go all the way back up. And obviously I have to sort of click these buttons. So straight away, it's already on the updates list to do. And we're going to have some slides down here that basically will be able to sort of make it a better layout. And it will say tiers, contract address, whatever it be, it'll be in a much more layout. But I generally, even before that's done, go and take a read of this Git book, because it literally is so detailed. And it was the one thing that I was actually surprised, because normally new projects, they'll bring out the more detailed stuff later on because they're more interested in getting the project up and running, and they just want to get the token launched and they worry about the stuff later. So the fact that it was already very detailed, like I said, we've got YouTube videos on tutorials. That's just incredible. So there's a part in the Git book that I was curious about, and I got it confirmed yesterday from the team. Buyback and burns. So every 0.5 ETH that is accumulated from the contract, they will actually use a quarter of that to buy back into the token and send it to the dead wallet and burn it. So right now the volume is low, okay? Because like what we're doing now, we're trying to grow this organically. We don't want a P&D up and down, hence the chart, why it looks nice and healthy as it is now. But imagine when the volume starts flowing in and out, and you've got this constant buying of supply back from the contract sales that come in to then send to the dead wallet. It's going to have a squeeze on market supply. Now, I'm not sure if anybody that's in the project now has looked at this, but these are the type of stuff that I go over in detail, especially with reading documents, because it then gets you into sort of the team's head in what they're trying to do, and it makes you realize that there's a bigger sort of picture to what the overall sort of end game is. So I like that. So if you wasn't aware, it's in there. If you want to read about it, definitely a great addition. And it just, like I said, it causes a squeeze on the token itself. Expansion to other networks. And I did see this. It might have actually been in the TG today, to be fair. There was somebody that said about expanding it into other tokens, because as we all know, the bull run is coming. Okay, for me, it's going to happen in 2024. We're not quite ready for it yet, but we know that when gas fees go high, what do people do? They run to BSC and the likes of Solana, Polygon. So the team already have this motion, and they've already stated this. Ethereum, what they're doing right now, they are making sure that the Ethereum network is nailed. Okay, we have to hit Ethereum first, right? Because there's no volume on BSC. The reputation there at the minute is down in the drain. There's been lots of FUD on Binance and central exchanges. So we're not ready for that market yet. So we make sure that the Ethereum side, which is where all the whales are, the big money, the volume on a daily basis, you make sure that that is squeaky clean. You get all the products and the tools working on point. When we go, right, boys, we've got all that sussed, sorted, we then, right now, let's adopt it onto BSC. Okay, and all this will roll in line as we fall into the bull run. So we will already be prepared and geared for the BSC network to be in play for the tracking and the information that you need to make sure that we're ahead of the game before the BSC market starts to kick off. And that'll be the same for Solana, and it will be the same for Polygon and any other networks that the community want. Okay, but this is all going to revolve back to the tier scenario. Okay, you are only going to have the cream of the cream if you've got the top tiers. Now, as things progress and evolve, those tiers in terms of what you get access for are obviously going to alter. Okay, we're not going to get to a stage down the line and try and penalize people. But what you want to especially do is make sure those higher tiers are very, very unique. And what I mean by that is, let's say, I don't know, let's say, for example, a big coal or an influencer or someone absolutely falls in love with the tool and it's key to them and they want to buy that and they're prepared to pay, let's say it's 10 ETH at the time. Okay. To them, that's going to be a small fee. If they've got something that's alpha that no one else can get access to, and let's say, I don't know, say there's only 10 people that have got this top diamond tier and none of you can get that, you can only have tier 3 down, you're going to be at a disadvantage to that person. They're going to have the edge because they're going to get more key data before you do. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you will get different data to what they'll get, and it just means that they'll probably be able to get in sooner and obviously be ahead of the curve rather than you would. And this is why it comes back to what I mentioned. You need to be in projects early, and you need to understand what a team is building and what's going to be created to allow you to be ahead of what is going to come. And my view, again, this is not financial advice. What we're talking about here in terms of Xtrack is this is early. Find me a project on the market right now that is sub 150K and going to give you what you're getting on a daily basis now. It's been out 3 weeks. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be at 0. You can look at the distribution and see it's fair across the board. You're getting comms on a regular basis. And we're going to do more of these VCs, by the way. We're going to do spaces. We're going to put this under the nose of everybody. And everybody is going to know about Xtrack. That's the fact of it. And it's always about how you sell or communicate something to somebody. We all know if you're listening to someone monotone, boring, we don't want that. We want to have fun here at Xtrack as much as obviously we want to make money and play around with the tools. So we work with yourselves and we make this the best system in the space. We make it so that everybody wants to be here. And I already know, I'm looking at the VC and I'm seeing some of the names in the VC and I recognize a lot of those names. And I'm telling you now, I already looked at the TG list and I've looked at the people in here. And I know the people that are here are based as FFF. I don't want to say it because I know this is being recorded, but I know they're good people. And I know they'll push for their bags. I know they'll support. They'll chill it in lounges because that's what good people do. They work together, they grind, and the benefit comes later. You can't be winning in this game at this moment in time by thinking you're going to 10x in 24 hours. And I repeat this myself message to many, many people on a daily basis. And this Xtrack, this is the next little gem that I really think we've got something special here. And with a good team and good community and the way we demonstrate this to people, we can take this to wherever we want. I genuinely believe that. Okay, so that was a bit on the expansion to the BSC and Solana side, and that will open up a lot of new avenues. And remember as well that with Ethereum, you've got a certain clientele. When the BSC comes, this is the retail market. So this will be new people. Okay, these people that come to the table, these will be another breed. A lot of them will be newbies because in the bull run, you get a lot of new retail money come in. So we have to make sure that when we hit this market, and this will come down to comms and making sure that we educate people when they come in. And again, this is another key factor of Xtrack. Because we've got the comms and we can talk to people on this level like what we're doing now, we will help these people. We'll educate them how to use the tools. And when they come in, and especially they are newbies, and I talk to a lot of newbies in the space, by the way, on a daily basis in DMs, and trying to help people is something I personally love. All right. So if we as Xtrack can do that on an adoption level, and we can do it through this tool and help them trade smarter and not get wrecked by obviously just aping random stuff, that to me will be a great satisfaction because it means that we will sort of grow our army, and it means these people obviously ain't going to get a bad experience like many of us have had when we joined the market and we got wrecked. So that's another aspect. So tiered access, I mentioned earlier. I'll just have a quick summary back on that. With the tiered levels, you've got certain access, right? What I'll do, I'm going to get that up now because I had a picture earlier. If I ping this up now, it's this one here. So you see this tiered access on the system. We've got tiers 1 to 4 and the diamond. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what's coming for the diamond. I haven't gone too much detail in it with the team. Maybe Tonic will be able to give us some sneak, amazing alpha inside info. I don't know. But what we do know is there's tiers 1 to 4. And obviously you can see 1 basic, bronze, silver and gold. Okay, so ideally you want the top tier. All right. Now, in terms of the information that you get, very self-explanatory. If you get a chance to go through it or ask any questions in the TG, I'm not going to go to town in here now, but I'll just pick up one of the basic ones at the top. Follow 1 person on your basic level, follow 5 people on a tier 2, 15 on a tier 3, and 30 on a tier 4. Now, if you're looking at this from a not really a Twitter user and kind of like understand what this means, if you've got one guy on the Twitter space that you love to follow, then great. But if there's 5 or 6 that you keep an eye on, you think, well, I want to know what they're doing, tier one's going to give you one of those. You're going to have to pick. So you might find that, okay, I'm following this one guy, but the other 4 people, I can't get notifications on them because obviously I've not got the tiered access. So this is where it's strategically going to play into, depending on what tier you've got, is going to give you, again, that front end information. So if we take tier 4, for example, and you're following 30 people, you're going to get information on 30 people. You're going to be way ahead than obviously someone who's got tier 1. And that's just the way it is. Tiered access, you get in a lot of utility projects because you put more in, you get more from it. And it comes back to what I said about server costs, et cetera, et cetera. So the tiered access, do take a look at it. If you need to know more detail, like I said, just jump in the TG and the team and the mods. They can give you that information. One final thing I want to finish on in terms of the expansion, Xtrack, and how we're going to grow and where we're going is blogs, education, and videos, and using tools. Now, projects that I've seen in the space, they bring stuff out, but they don't really educate you how to properly use it. Okay, and what I liked about Xtrack, which is something that obviously they did very early, and if you haven't seen this already, if you go on their YouTube channel and you see that there's a video on there, it's about 15 minutes long. I've watched the whole video, and it's very cleanly spoken. It goes through all the functions of the tools. Now, what you've got to bear in mind is this video was done, I think, 7 or 8 days ago. So the bot and the system has advanced. So there are some things that have changed and enhanced, and the team are already in motion. They've already told me that they're going to be producing new videos. One of the things I did explain and express that I would like personally, especially to users, is can we have like smaller videos broken up? So, for example, we could have a little 1-2 minute clip on what the trending bot does and the information it gives you. Boom, one video. Next video, we can talk about tiered access, 1-2 minute video. And they're going to do this. So this is going to come out. But again, it comes back to what I said. Building, coding, development, talking to you as a community, it's balancing all these things up. Those videos for me right now are not massively important because we can teach you, obviously, where to go for the information, such as the Git book to pull that in. Plus, there's always support to guide you on how to use the bot. And there's many users now that are using it that are kind of like really up to speed and they can advise you. So that side of it is coming. So education, videos, blogs, that is key to driving Xtrack and making it as easy as possible for people to sort of get in the door and go, right, you need X, this is how you do it, boom, quick, boom, boom, boom. People come in, want to buy the tokens, use the service, next. And that's it. It's quick, short, sharp, and in your face pretty. And that's why the most recent one with this tiered access that you're seeing on the screen, that was actually, if you remember, it was in a TG command and it was just a load of words, tier 1, 2, 3, 4. Team took on board that, could we have that in a nice, prettier outlay? Boom, team took it away, douche, they issued this. And now you can see a very quick picture, tells you everything you need to know. And for me, I love this stuff. Again, comes back to team capabilities, they're delivering. Okay, so on that part, there was a coin that was highlighted yesterday. I was going to mention the project, but I don't need to because what I don't want to do, I don't want to get into shilling other projects, especially on a live recording. So what I will say is that there was a project that was identified yesterday, and this is one of many, by the way, okay? And the person who got the notification, they either had, I don't know this for 100%, but they either had tier 3 or tier 4, okay? It doesn't matter which one it is. They both have the facility for push notifications, okay? They got a push notification to themselves, which told them about this coin. And what it done, it picked up the data over a period of a 30-minute trend, and it actually showed, when you went and looked at the chart, that it pumped, I think it was to like 300K market cap, and it came back down, and it was around 30, 40K. But the Twitter post, replies, everything that was hit on it was seriously high. For a new launch coin, it stood out from all the rest. They looked at that notification list, and it enabled them to make a decision, well, something must be cooking here, because there's a lot of people talking about it, but the chart's at the bottom. So they took, obviously, the decision to ape a small bag, and they went and did, I think it was a 10X, okay? Now, if you looked at that coin on a normal, let's say, market, someone dropped a buy bot, you would have no clue whatsoever what that was, why it pumped and dumped. that person made a informative decision at the time based on the information that Xtrack brought to them, showing the tweets, replies, and all the information that was being fed on it. So there was clearly a lot of eyes on it, and that paid off. Now, the way I would look at something like that, whether they held to a 10x or not, is immaterial. But if we take it on a like a smart basis, if you get into a project, say for example like that, and Xtrack identified it at that 40K, you kind of got to say to yourself, well, based on the statistics versus the risk to reward, you would take a gamble. So you would put $50, $100, whatever it is. As soon as it gets to a 2x, you take your initial out. So therefore you're safe. And then you monitor and you track what Xtrack's giving you, whether it works, doesn't work. And as what you've seen in the TG, people are feeding that back to the team. The team are deviating and upgrading the way that they're operating in the back end, whether it's reading certain algorithms, blacklisted words, etc., and then making it easier for you, obviously, to then get better notifications. And it's going to come down to a performance thing. And once the numbers crack and they start going, right, we've got constant delivery here, and it keeps getting better and better, again, you know the history. It's just going to take off in its own dimension because the proof's going to be in the pudding. So up to that point, I think that I've definitely spoke a bit longer than what I wanted to. I might have to cut Tonic's little chat probably to 5 minutes. But what I want to do now, and I want to open the floor to Tonic, and I'm not getting Tonic to step up now and try and shill or sell the project, because we can do that anytime. What I want him to do is come up here and talk to you as the investors and the holders. And I want him to explain why he created Xtrack, why he felt there was a gap in the market for this tool and this ecosystem that they're building, and just kind of give you his passion and why he turns up every day and talks to you as investors and holders. Because I've mentioned it already, you don't get this in the space. You don't get someone that's going to try and connect you on this level. That's called relationships. And you have to have a certain persona about you in order for you to want to create a project, secondly, make a difference, and obviously feel part of something that you're trying to build with others. So I just want him to come up and give his view on sort of those points and not sell Xtrack, if that makes sense. So Tonic, if you want to step up, mate, and come and say hello to the community, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Then I'm going to talk about current market conditions, how Xtrack is currently placed, and obviously how we're going to navigate the markets in the coming weeks and months.
Sounds good. I can absolutely do that. I am going to stick around for a bit, though, just because in case anybody has any questions, I usually like to have a little back and forth with the community and see what they're asking about. So yeah, I made the tool pretty much because I'm a trader by trade, right? I do like most of you guys do. I don't make projects most of the time. This is my first ever project. What I usually do is I trade. That's how I make my money. That's how I make my bread and butter. I've been a crypto trader now for 3 years, and it's my only job. I don't have any in real life job. I just trade, and that's how I pay my bills. So that's why I made the tool, because I knew there was a need in the market. There was a few tools here and there that do a little bit of this Twitter related, maybe do a little bit of that Twitter related, but they don't encompass everything and truly provide like the alpha data set that we can. So that's why I got together with this dev, and I was like, you know what, man, there's a gap in the market here. There's a need for this tool. If we make it and you build it at the speed at which I know you can, I truly think that we'll have a dominating force when it comes to Twitter aggregation. But we are moving further than that. It's just that's the first step. Someone had mentioned earlier in the chat something about how is it different than bell notification on Twitter. What I would say to that is just give our docs a read over. If you gave our docs a read over, you will see there's a large difference from our tool and just hitting the notification bell on Twitter. Steps moving forward. This week, one of the big things we're trying to tackle is our public bot. We are building an improved version of Shield, right? We're gonna take Shield and we're gonna tweak it and we're gonna improve it a whole lot to make raids a lot more interactive for communities, so that communities want to add X-Raid, that's what we're going to call it, X-Raid, instead of Shield. Now, if you guys have seen Shield, you see some of their prices that they put for advertisement and the money that they bring in from that. Well, we're going to charge cheaper for our advertisements to try to get people to onboard with us instead, and our tech is just going to be overall better. Now, this should put Xtrack in the faces of everybody. Everybody's going to see Xtrack as a Shield bot, but when they click on the links, they're going to see that we provide a whole lot more. And that's going to be the main differentiator, I think, between us and Shield is Shield. That's all they do. That's all they provide. It's just a chat lock, and it doesn't do much more than that. We are going to provide the chat lock, but once people click on our links, they're going to see that we have alpha data sets, and there is more reason to hold our token as opposed to just if you hold our token, you might get a portion of ad revenue. You are going to get a portion of ad revenue from our token. Anything that we make off this Shield bot, anything that we make from putting ad slots on our live feed or ad slots on our public bot, any ad revenue at all generated by Xtrack is going straight back to the holders. Straight back to the holders. Now, you talked about the buyback and burn. That is also going to start fairly shortly. I might even do a buyback and burn today just to show good faith that we do, in fact, intend on executing the buyback and burn once we get to the level that was stated in the Git book. So, and the community can decide for that as well, right? If you guys want buybacks and burns, we'll do buybacks and burns. If you guys say, hey, it'd be nice if you took some of that money you're using for the buyback and burn and put it into our revenue share wallet so that we could get some extra revenue share, I'll do that. You guys let me know what you guys want. You guys want to see some buybacks and burns? We'll start doing buybacks and burns. You guys want to see some money thrown into your revenue share wallet? We'll do that. The diamond tier. The diamond tier is to be decided by you guys. It is still undecided. We have some ideas that we could deliver for the diamond tier, but if the community decides, listen, we don't want a 1% tier, we don't want a 0.75% tier, we're happy with the gold tier, 0.5% should be the most that we have to hold, then we'll do that, right? But if some of our members, because we notice that there are quite a few holders that have over a 0.7%, if they would want something created for them a little bit more advanced because they want to hold that supply of token and they're happy holding that, we would do it for them. So the diamond tier is pretty much to be decided up to you guys, how much you need to hold and if it's going to be created, if not. Once created, the dev and I have some ideas of the tech that we could deliver to that tier that would differentiate them for the rest. I want to touch on the basic tiers and tier, the bronze tier as well. Some of the things you guys...
Tonic, sorry to just butt in. We're going off tangent, obviously, on the utility. What I was trying to look from this part from yourself was the side of why you sort of get up every day, spend all the hours you do. This tiered stuff and everything we can leave for another AMA VC and go to it in more detail. It was just trying to get an understanding of what drives you.
I like answering questions as they come. Someone mentioned the tiers. I'm going to cover the tiers. That's just how I roll, right? Like the community mentioned it. I'm going to cover it. So that's what it is with the tiers. When it comes to the silver tier and the bronze tier, currently they don't have that much utility. I wanted to add that this week we are going to be taking some of the utility that we gave to the higher tiers, and they're going to slowly be making their way down to the early tiers. I just don't want the earlier tiers thinking everything's getting built for tier 2 and tier 3, silver and gold. What am I getting out of holding my smaller amount of tokens? Well, all of these utilities will slowly trickle their way down to you, with the exception of a few, of course, that are just going to stay for silver and gold. I wake up every morning and do this, bro, because I love building for people and I love doing things for people. You know me. You've known me since before this. I like delivering things to people and doing things for people. I get far more joy out of giving someone $100 than I get making $100 for myself. That's always how I've been my whole life. So this is just fun for me. Giving people a tool that they get to use and it helps benefit their trading. They get that extra data. They can make those quick decisions even faster. That's why I get up and do it. Also, I use it myself, right? Like currently I'm completely focused on the project, but there will come a day, hopefully, where the product is almost fully built and updates are here and there. And I will also get to use the tool that I've created myself, because that was the initial reason for creating it, is that I wanted something that could give me that data set that no one else had.
Fantastic. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up with just touching on the last bit, current market conditions and that, and then I will have to wrap it up because I did plan for an hour. We're slightly over now, and obviously I do have to run for the school run and get my boy. So I'll finish it off in terms of just current market conditions, kind of what's happened over the last couple of the weeks and how Xtrack has sort of, what shall I say, rode the waves of kind of what's happened. And how we're shaped and structured for going forward. So we've all seen in the last couple of weeks, the space got took over by what we've seen, a load of memes. One token in particular ran very, very high. And unfortunately, a lot of utility plays got, just 2 secs. Just got to mute your mic, Tonic, because it's types. So just muted. Yeah, so coming back to the marketers. So we've seen the last couple of weeks, we've had memes run, okay? And if you track sells, a lot of utility projects that I follow, they've all been hit the same, okay? People that have been holding tokens for 1, 2, 3 months, unfortunately, they decided to wrap up and obviously cash out, and they've gone to these memes. Some have got lucky, made a couple of X's, some have obviously got wrecked, okay? It doesn't change anything from what those projects are or how they act or how they sort of conduct themselves. So with Xtrack, you will see during this period, they've not changed course. They've not panicked. They've conducted themselves in a professional manner, which is what you would expect from a proper project, on that is running something for a longer term mission. Okay. And I always say this, a chart price or indication of whether it's a red, green candle does not demonstrate a true value of what something is worth. It's no difference to shares in a company that got formed yesterday. It might be worth, $1 a share today. In 2 years, it could be worth half a dollar, but the company could have gone from turning over 100,000 a year to 10 million. It's just what someone deems it worth at that point. So these memes that run, they obviously go sky high because it is hype and FOMO. Are those projects worth the market cap they're at? Of course they're not. Okay, it's artificial, all right? But what always happens, there's a process, there's a cycle. It's all part of the game. It goes round in loops, and what will happen is the money goes into utility. It flows out from the impatient. They go and ape, lose, do whatever they do, but they flow back. Why? Because what they get sick of, and it's something that I am very passionate about, is they want to be able to go to sleep, sleep on their bags, and they want to know someone's working for what they've got invested in. So from the point of the chart and how we've held, if you look at the daily, for example, just take the daily chart on Xtrack. Find me a chart that's a brand new project, been out a few weeks, and has stayed lovely and juicy, in my view, to what it's at now. So we rode the wave. We saw some lead. We saw some apes and memes. Some have come back. We've got a lot of new investors. What happens? Next phase is even stronger because you've got what's the word? When you see people hang around and constantly talk, they're your boys and girls. They're the ones, they're with you. They're holding your hand and going, do you know what? I don't care what's going on outside in the rest of the market. What I see is happening here, I like it. So we, in terms of position, absolutely brilliant. In terms of costs and money, the project is got more than enough sufficient funds right now to see them out for the coming months. Okay, so most projects we all see, they launch, they might have burnt all their money in the first week, whether that's coolers, paying for XYZ. This project hasn't done that. Okay, I mentioned it earlier. They tried a strategy early on. It didn't work. Coolers, etc. They wasted a lot of money, but unfortunately, they had to go through that process because some investors are like, well, what are you doing? What's that? They don't want to wait. This phase that we're going through now and the communication and talking, this is the next phase we do now. Okay, so we just continue to support the team, the dev, what they're doing. We keep giving our feedback for the products. If you're winning off the notifications, feed it in the TG. We keep creating the blog, and we will keep building on the information that's being fed out. And then, as what I said, time down the line will prove its own worth. So I am going to have to wrap up on that point because, like I said, I planned an hour and it has actually gone over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the Xtrack chat quickly and just make sure there's nothing major. Oh wow! I've just seen a buy bot in there. Are we at 200k market cap? Okay, well that's quite funny. Right,
hey Andy,
how we doing, Cap?
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to stop in, say hi, Andy. You've done a really great job. Everyone here, we are going to the fucking moon. This is a safe investment. Team is working hard. I'm glad to be part of it. Glad to be part of this community and keep grinding. That's what we do. Keep grinding. Keep showing the utility to people, and more. And the more and more we do it, the higher market cap we're gonna be. And that's all I gotta say. Keep
Love
the
it.
vibes.
For anyone that doesn't know Cat Mate, this guy is he's a lot of fun. He's the guy that always puts the videos into TG. He's always driving, shouting the Xtrack fam, giving the hype and the vibe. This guy's got energy. So look, I love being in projects when there's a bit of fun and quirkiness to it. I don't know about yourselves, but I can't sit somewhere where it's just, well, when are we 10xing? What's this? What's that? It's just so boring. So I'm very, very picky personally nowadays to what I will talk and vouch for, just because if we can't have fun as investors and holders, what's the point? Look, we all love tech. We all want to make money, but we've got to get down to earth sometimes and just chillax. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. We want you to want to come into the Telegram and have fun and, you know, be silly. You know, not just be like, okay, it's a utility coin, you know, it's going to moon at some point. No, have fun with it, talk to people, and just keep the vibes. I mean, I'm a huge community guy. I form communities. That's what I do. And right now, we've been forming a community for the past couple of weeks, and it's been a ride, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm going to have to wrap it up there. But what we're going to do is I'm going to stop this recording, because obviously this recording is going to be shared across, you know, the space. It'll be put on a pinned post. But what's going to happen is that the founder, Tectonic, he will stay in the VC after this, and he'll be able to take any like tech questions and anything you want to talk about. I won't be there because I've got to shoot. I've got to go pick my son up. But anything that you've got in terms of technical, jump on the voice, ask him. He'll be able to give you all the feedback you need. And then obviously I look forward to the next VC AMA, whether that's in here or on a Twitter space. We will get something arranged. And obviously in line with the utility upgrades and updates, we will communicate in this way, because I understand not everybody can obviously be here at this time. They might want to watch it afterwards. You know, people don't like scrolling through, coming back to a TG and there's 500 messages. So by doing these type of things, it just gives a bit more of an informative view of kind of where we're at and what's happening. So as what I always say, much love and peace out.